I was standing outside in the dark, holding a backpack with everything I owned that mattered. The porch light behind me flickered, and I could hear my dad's voice still echoing in my head. Either you apologize to your sister right now, or you leave this house. I had looked at him then at Sophia, with her perfect tears streaming down her face, and I felt absolutely nothing. So I said the only two words that made sense. All right. Then I walked out. What nobody knew was that my leaving would trigger a chain of events that would tear our entire family apart. Before I tell you how everything fell apart, I want to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever felt like the invisible child in your family, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story might hit closer to home than you think. Now let me take you back to where it all started. My name is King. I am 28 years old now, but this story begins when I was still trying to hold on to the idea that family meant something. I am the older brother. My sister Sophia is 24. Our mom died when I was 16, and Sophia was 12. That was the moment everything changed in our house. My dad, Harold, fell apart. Not in the way you might think, where he broke down and needed help. No, he fell apart quietly, and he poured every single piece of himself into Sophia. I understand it now more than I did back then. He saw our mom and Sophia. Same eyes, same smile, same way of tilting her head when she wanted something. And maybe he thought if he could keep Sophia happy, he could keep a piece of mom alive. But that meant I became invisible. I was 16, so I guess Dad figured I could take care of myself. And I did. I cooked my own meals. I did my own laundry. I got a job at a grocery store stocking shelves after school because nobody was going to hand me gas money or lunch money or anything else. I learned real quick that asking for help just made everyone uncomfortable. Sophia, on the other hand, got everything. When she turned 18, Dad bought her a brand new car. Not used, not practical. Brand new with a bow on it like in the commercials. When she wanted to go to college, Dad paid every single dollar of tuition. She never worked a campus job. She never applied for scholarships. She just existed, and the world bent around her. She did not do chores. She did not pay rent when she moved back home after college. She just floated through life, while Dad smiled and told everyone how proud he was of his baby girl. I moved out when I was 22. I could not take it anymore. Living in that house felt like suffocating. So I found a cheap apartment, worked 2 jobs, and built a life on my own. It was not glamorous, but it was mine. I saved money. I had plans. I wanted to open a small coffee shop, nothing fancy, just a place where people could sit and feel at home. I had been saving for 6 years, $15,000 in cash. Every single dollar earned from sweat and extra shifts and skipped meals. 2 weeks before the night Dad kicked me out, I made a mistake. I went home to visit. I had the $15,000 in an envelope because I was planning to deposit it in a business account the next morning. I left it in my old bedroom in the desk drawer. I figured it would be safe for one night. I was wrong. The next morning I woke up and checked the drawer. The envelope was gone. My heart dropped into my stomach. I tore that room apart. I checked under the bed and the closet between the mattress and box spring. Nothing. I ran downstairs and found Dad in the kitchen drinking coffee. "Dad, did you go in my room?" He looked confused. "No, son." Why I explained about the money. His face went pale. Then Sophia walked in wearing pajamas and holding her phone, and I asked her the same question. She looked at me like I had just slapped her. "Are you seriously accusing me of stealing from you?" Her voice went high and shaky. "Why would I do that? I cannot believe you would think that about me." She started crying, and Dad immediately put his arm around her. "King, you need to calm down. Your sister did not take your money. Maybe you misplaced it." I told him I did not misplace $15,000. I told him I was absolutely sure it was in that drawer. But Dad just shook his head. "Do not go around accusing people without proof, son. That is not how we do things in this family." I left that day feeling sick, but I did not have proof, just a gut feeling and a missing envelope. I tried to move on. I picked up extra shifts to start saving again. But then 1 week later I saw it. Sophia posted a photo on Instagram. She was holding a designer handbag. I recognized the brand immediately because I had been window shopping online, dreaming about nice things I would buy once the coffee shop took off. That bag cost $3,000. I looked it up to be sure. $3,000 for a purse. The caption said, "Spoiled by my amazing boyfriend." But Sophia had been dating this guy for like 3 weeks. I knew something was wrong. So I did something I probably should not have done. I called the store where the bag was sold. I pretended to be confirming a purchase for insurance purposes. The woman on the phone was nice. She checked the records and told me the bag had been purchased with cash 8 days earlier. Cash. Not a credit card. Not a gift receipt. Cash. I had my proof. I drove to Dad's house that same evening. Sophia was there, sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Dad was watching television. I walked in and put my phone down on the coffee table with the Instagram photo pulled up. "Where did you get the money for this, Sophia?" She looked at the phone, then at me. Her face did not change. "I told you. My boyfriend bought it for me." I shook my head. I called the store. It was purchased with cash. $3,000 in cash. 8 days after my $15,000 went missing. Sophia's eyes filled with tears instantly. It was like watching someone flip a switch. "You are insane. You are actually insane. Why are you doing this to me?" She turned to Dad. "He is making things up. He is trying to make me look bad because he is jealous that I have nice things." Dad stood up and looked at me with this expression I will never forget. Disappointment. Like I was the problem. "King, this has gone too far. I do not know what is going on with you, but you need to apologize to your sister right now. You are upsetting her over some conspiracy theory." I stood there holding the phone with the evidence right there on the screen, and I realized it did not matter. Dad was never going to believe me. Sophia could do anything, and he would find a way to excuse it. I put the phone back in my pocket. I am not apologizing for telling the truth. Dad's face hardened. "Then we have a problem. Either you apologize to your sister right now, or you leave this house." The room went silent. Sophia was crying into her hands. Dad was staring at me waiting, and I just felt empty. I looked at both of them, and I understood something I should have understood years ago. I was never going to be enough for this family. I could light myself on fire to keep them warm, and they would complain about the smoke. So I said the only thing that made sense. "All right." I turned around and walked out the door. I did not slam it. I did not yell. I just left. The first 2 months after I left were brutal. I moved in with my best friend Marcus. He had a 2-bedroom apartment and told me I could stay as long as I needed. I slept on an air mattress in the corner of his living room. I felt like a failure, 28 years old and crashing on a friend's floor. But Marcus never made me feel bad about it. He just kept saying, "You did the right thing, man. You stood up for yourself." I picked up 2 jobs to make rent and save money again. During the day, I worked at a warehouse moving boxes. At night, I drove for a rideshare company. I was exhausted all the time. My back hurt. My eyes burned from lack of sleep. But I kept going because what else was I going to do? Give up, go crawling back to Dad, and apologize for something I did not do? No, I would rather break my back than break my integrity. Dad did not call. Not once. No text messages. No emails. Nothing. It was like I had never existed. Sophia blocked me on every social media platform. I checked once, just to see. And sure enough, I could not find her profile anywhere. It stung more than I wanted to admit. I kept thinking maybe Dad would realize he was wrong. Maybe he would reach out. But days turned into weeks and the silence just kept going. Marcus would ask me how I was doing, and I would lie and say I was fine. But at night, lying on that air mattress, I felt this ache in my chest that would not go away. It was not even about the money anymore. It was about the fact that my own father chose to believe a lie over his son, that my sister could steal from me, look me in the eye, and cry her way out of consequences. It made me question everything I thought I knew about family. I started looking into legal options to get my money back. I talked to a couple of lawyers during free consultations. They all said the same thing. Without concrete proof that Sophia took the money, it would be nearly impossible to win a case. The Instagram photo and the store receipt were circumstantial. I would need something more solid. Bank records showing a cash deposit, security footage, something undeniable. I did not have any of that, so I had to accept that the money was gone. $15,000 and 6 years of work just gone. But something else started to happen during those 2 months. I started to feel lighter, not happy exactly, but less suffocated. I did not have to walk on eggshells anymore. I did not have to watch Sophia get praised for doing nothing while I worked myself to exhaustion just to be ignored. I was free from that toxicity, and even though it hurt, it also felt like I could finally breathe. Marcus noticed it too. He told me one night, "You smile more now. Even with all this mess, you seem more like yourself." Then, 3 months after I left, my phone rang. It was a number I recognized, Aunt Linda. She was my mom's younger sister. We did not talk often, but she had always been kind to me. I answered and her voice sounded stressed. "King, honey, we need to talk. It is about Sophia." My stomach dropped. I asked her what was going on. She took a deep breath and said, "Your sister is in serious trouble." Linda explained that Sophia had been borrowing money from people in the family. A lot of money. She had gone to Linda and asked for $5,000, claiming she was investing in a business opportunity. Linda had given it to her because Sophia was family. Then Sophia went to Uncle Tom and borrowed $8,000. She went to 2 cousins and borrowed another $7,000 each. In total, Sophia had collected around $30,000 from relatives, all with the same story about a business investment, but there was no business. People started comparing notes at a family gathering, and they realized Sophia had lied to all of them. The money had gone to shopping trips, fancy dinners, and maintaining the lifestyle she posted about online. Now everyone wanted their money back, and Sophia kept making excuses. She would say the investment was delayed. She would promise payment next month, but next month never came. Uncle Tom got suspicious. He was the type of man who did not let things go. He hired a private investigator to look into Sophia's finances, and what they found was so much worse than anyone expected. Sophia had stolen Dad's credit cards. Not just one, 3 different cards. She had been using them for months, racking up charges and hiding the statements. The total debt was around $60,000. Dad had no idea, because Sophia intercepted all the mail from the banks. She would take the envelopes before Dad saw them and throw them away. But eventually the banks started calling. That was when everything fell apart for Sophia. Dad found out about the debt, about the stolen cards, about the lies to the family. Linda told me all of this over the phone, and I just sat there stunned. I had known Sophia was selfish. I had known she was a liar. But this was a whole different level. This was criminal. Linda said Dad was devastated. The house was in danger of foreclosure because Dad could not keep up with the credit card payments on top of the mortgage. He was drowning in debt he did not even create. And Sophia, she had stopped answering calls. She had packed a bag and left with some new boyfriend nobody in the family had even met. She just ran away from the mess she made and left Dad to deal with it alone. I thanked Linda for telling me and hung up. I sat on the edge of the air mattress and stared at the wall. Part of me felt vindicated. I had been right about Sophia. She was exactly the person I thought she was. But another part of me just felt sad. Sad for Dad. Sad for the family. Sad that it had come to this. A week later, my phone rang again. This time it was Dad. I almost did not answer. I stared at his name on the screen, and my finger hovered over the decline button. But curiosity got the better of me. I answered. "Hello." Dad's voice came through, and it was broken. He was crying. I had never heard my father cry before, not even at Mom's funeral. But now he was sobbing into the phone, barely able to get words out. "King, I was wrong. I was wrong about everything." He could barely speak between the tears. Sophia admitted it. "She took your money. She lied about the bag. She stole my credit cards. She lied to everyone. I am so sorry, son. I am so sorry I did not believe you." He kept apologizing over and over, like a record stuck on repeat. Then he told me everything Linda had already shared, but hearing it from Dad made it real in a different way. Dad explained that Sophia had confessed to everything once she realized Uncle Tom had hired an investigator. She admitted to taking my $15,000. She admitted to buying the bag with my money. She admitted to stealing the credit cards and lying to the whole family. And then she left. She packed her things, texted Dad, saying she needed space, and disappeared with this boyfriend nobody trusted. Dad had tried calling her, but she blocked his number. His own daughter, the one he had sacrificed everything for, had abandoned him. Now Dad was alone in that house, drowning in debt, facing the possibility of losing everything. The bank had sent foreclosure notices. Dad's credit was destroyed. He was working overtime at his job just to make minimum payments, but it was not enough. He was going to lose the house where Mom had lived, the house where we grew up, and he was terrified. "You are my only son," Dad said through his tears. "I need you. Please forgive me. I know I do not deserve it, but please, you are all I have left." I sat there holding the phone, and I felt this storm of emotions. Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted to tell him he made his choice, and now he had to live with it. But another part of me, the part that still remembered what it felt like to be 16 and losing my mom, felt sorry for him. I did not say anything for a long time. I just listened to him cry. Finally, I said, "I will think about it." Then I hung up. I sat there on the air mattress, and I cried too. Not because I was sad for Dad exactly, but because I was grieving the family I thought I had. The family I thought would be there for me no matter what. That family never existed. It was just a story I told myself to make the pain easier. I spent 3 days thinking about what to do. Marcus told me I did not owe Dad anything. He said I should let him deal with the consequences of his choices. And logically, Marcus was right. But something in me could not just walk away. Maybe it was because of Mom. Maybe it was because I did not want to become the kind of person who abandons family even when they abandoned me first. I do not know. But I knew I could not ignore Dad's call, so I called him back. When he answered, his voice was quiet, almost afraid. I told him I will help you. But we are doing this my way, and you are going to agree to my conditions. If you cannot do that, then we have nothing to talk about. There was silence on the other end. Then Dad said, "Anything. I will do anything." I laid out my terms. First, he had to write a letter, and it had to be notarized. In that letter, he would admit that he was wrong to kick me out. He would admit that he favored Sophia unfairly my entire life. He would admit that he chose to believe her lies over my truth, and that it was unjust. Second, he would agree to pay me back the $15,000 Sophia stole. I did not care if it took years. He would pay me back in installments, and we would put it in writing. Third, if Sophia ever came back, he would not protect her from the legal consequences of her actions. She would have to face what she did. Fourth, he would go to family therapy with me. Not because I wanted to rebuild what we had, but because I needed him to understand the damage he caused. Dad agreed to everything. His voice was hollow, but he agreed. I had Marcus help me draft the letter, and we met at a notary office 2 days later. Dad signed it in front of a notary public, and I kept a copy. It felt strange making my own father sign a legal document just to acknowledge basic decency, but I needed it. I needed proof that he understood what he did. Then I got to work. I used some connections I had made through my rideshare job. One of my regular passengers was a financial advisor, and I had told him bits and pieces of my situation during our drives. When I called him and explained what was happening, he agreed to help. We sat down with Dad and went through every single piece of his debt. It was worse than I thought. $63,000 in credit card debt. $12,000 behind on the mortgage. Late fees piling up everywhere. Dad's credit score was in the basement. The financial advisor helped us put together a plan. We consolidated the debt. We negotiated with the credit card companies to lower interest rates and extend payment periods. It was not pretty, but it was manageable. The problem was the immediate mortgage payments. The bank wanted a lump sum to stop the foreclosure process. They wanted $12,000 within 30 days or the house was gone. I had been saving again since moving in with Marcus. I had $10,000. It was supposed to be the start of my coffee shop fund round 2. But I looked at that number in my bank account, and I made a choice. I took out $10,000 and gave it to Dad for the down payment on the mortgage. The financial advisor helped us negotiate the remaining $2,000 into the payment plan. The house was saved. Barely. Dad stared at the check I handed him, and he started crying again. "King, I cannot take this. You worked so hard for this money." I looked him in the eye and said, "I am not doing this for you. I am doing this because I am not the kind of person who abandons family even when they abandon me first. But this does not mean I forget what happened. You are going to pay me back every dollar, and you are going to do the work to fix yourself. Do you understand?" He nodded and took the check. Then I did something else. I hired a lawyer and filed a police report against Sophia. Credit card fraud is a crime. Stealing $63,000 is a serious crime. I told Dad that if he wanted my help, he had to cooperate fully with the legal process. That meant giving the police all the evidence they needed. Bank statements, credit card records, everything. Dad hesitated. I could see the conflict in his face. But eventually he agreed. He understood, maybe for the first time, that protecting Sophia from consequences was what created this monster in the first place. 2 months later, Sophia was arrested in California. Apparently, the boyfriend she ran off with got scared when he found out about the fraud charges and turned her in to collect a reward. Sophia was extradited back to our state and had to face charges. She got a plea deal. 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, restitution payments for the stolen money. Her record would show the conviction. It was not prison, but it was consequences. Real consequences. Sophia tried to call Dad from the county jail before her hearing. She was crying and begging him to help her to hire a lawyer to make it go away like he always did. And for the first time in his life, Dad said no. He told her, "You need to face what you have done. I cannot fix this for you, and I would not even if I could. You made these choices. Now you deal with them." Then he hung up. He told me about it later, and I could hear the pain in his voice. But I was also proud of him. It was the first time he had ever held Sophia accountable. Dad started going to therapy. Not just the sessions with me, but individual therapy too. He talked about Mom, about his grief, about how he had projected all his unresolved pain onto Sophia and turned her into something she was never supposed to be. He admitted that he had failed me. He admitted that he had failed Sophia too by never teaching her responsibility or consequences. It was hard to watch him unpack all of that, but it was necessary. One day, about 4 months after everything exploded, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Dad. 5 pages handwritten. He poured everything into that letter. He wrote about how sorry he was. He wrote about specific moments where he had ignored me or dismissed me, and he acknowledged each one. He wrote about how he understood now that love is not just about provision or protection, but about seeing people for who they are and treating them fairly. He wrote that he did not expect forgiveness, but he wanted me to know that he was committed to becoming a better father, even if I never wanted a relationship with him again. I read that letter 3 times, and then I cried. I cried for the kid I used to be, the one who just wanted his dad to notice him. I cried for the man I had become, the one who had to fight for basic respect. And I cried because for the first time I felt like maybe Dad actually understood. It did not erase the past. It did not fix everything. But it was a start. 6 months after the night Dad kicked me out, things were different. Not perfect, not even close, but different. Dad and I started having dinner together once a week. We would meet at a diner halfway between his house and my apartment. The conversations were awkward at first. We did not really know how to talk to each other, but slowly, over weeks and months, we found a rhythm. We talked about work. We talked about the therapy sessions. We talked about Mom, which we had never really done before. Dad told me stories about her that I had never heard. It felt like getting to know a part of my history that had been locked away. Dad had paid back $8,000 of the $15,000 he owed me. He sent me $300 every month, like clockwork, and he never missed a payment. It was not about the money anymore. It was about the principle. It was about him showing me through action that he was serious about making things right. I could see the effort he was putting in, and that mattered more than the dollar amount. Harold had changed in other ways too. He stopped making excuses. He stopped deflecting. When I brought up something from the past that hurt me, he listened. He did not get defensive. He just listened and acknowledged it. That was new. The family therapy sessions helped. Our therapist pushed Dad to confront the ways he had used Sophia as a replacement for Mom and how that was unfair to both of us. Dad cried a lot in those sessions, but he kept showing up, and that counted for something. I started to feel lighter. The resentment that had lived in my chest for so long began to fade. I was not holding on to bitterness anymore. I had learned something important. Forgiveness is not about saying what someone did was okay. It is about choosing not to let their actions control your life anymore. I forgave Dad not because he deserved it, but because I deserved peace. I deserved to move forward without that weight dragging me down. I also learned that I could not control how people treated me, but I could control how I responded. Walking away from that house was not giving up. It was choosing myself when nobody else would. And that choice led me to discover a strength I did not know I had. I had survived on my own. I had rebuilt my life from nothing. I had set boundaries and stuck to them. That was power. As for Sophia, she completed her probation requirements. I heard through Aunt Linda that she was working at a retail store now, trying to pay off her restitution. She sent me a text message once. It was short. I am sorry for what I did. I know that does not fix anything, but I needed to say it. I read the message and did not respond. I did not block her number, but I did not reply either. Part of me wondered if she was genuinely sorry, or if she was just sorry she got caught. I decided it did not matter. Sophia had to walk her own path now, and I did not need to be part of it. I did not hate her. I did not wish bad things on her. I just did not have space in my life for someone who had hurt me so deeply and showed no real remorse until consequences forced her hand. Maybe one day that would change. Maybe years from now, Sophia would do the real work to become a better person, and we could have some kind of relationship. But that was not today, and I was okay with that. Marcus and I celebrated when I finally moved into my own place. It was a small studio apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I had a bed, a couch, a tiny kitchen, and a window that let in good light in the mornings. I sat on the floor of that empty apartment the first night, and just felt grateful. Grateful for Marcus, who gave me a place to crash when I had nothing. Grateful for the strength I found in myself. Grateful for the chance to start over. I was still saving for the coffee shop. It was going to take longer now because of the money I gave Dad, but that was okay. I had time. I was only 28. I had my whole life ahead of me, and now I was building that life on a foundation of self-respect and boundaries. That was worth more than any business could ever be. One evening, Dad and I were sitting in the diner, and he asked me, "Do you think you will ever really forgive me?" I thought about it for a minute, then I said, "I already have." But forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending it did not happen. It means I am not going to let what you did define me anymore. I am moving forward, and I am choosing to let you be part of that if you keep doing the work. But the moment you stop, the moment you fall back into old patterns, I am gone. And this time I will not feel guilty about it. Dad nodded. That is fair. That is more than fair. We finished our meal, and when we walked out to the parking lot, he gave me a hug. It was awkward and stiff, but it was real. And that was enough. Sometimes walking away is not giving up. It is choosing yourself when no one else will. I learned that the hard way. I learned that you cannot control how other people treat you, but you can control whether you stick around for it. I learned that breaking the cycle of toxicity does not mean you become cold-hearted. It means you are protecting your peace, and there is nothing wrong with that. I learned that forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for you. It is the key that unlocks the chains you have been carrying. And I learned that family is not always blood. Sometimes family is the people who choose to stand by you when everyone else walks away. Marcus was more family to me during those hard months than Dad or Sophia ever were. Real strength is not about holding grudges. It is about knowing when to let go. It is about understanding that some battles are not worth fighting because the only person you hurt by holding on is yourself. I let go of the anger. I let go of the need to be right. I let go of the fantasy that Dad would magically turn into the father I always wanted. Instead, I accepted the father he actually was, flaws and all, and I decided that was enough to build something new. If my dad had not given me that ultimatum, I would have never discovered how strong I actually am. Leaving that house was the hardest thing I ever did, but it led me to become the man I needed to be. And that is something I will never apologize for. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from family to protect yourself? Have you ever been the invisible child who finally decided to be seen? Drop your story in the comments. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe, because there are more stories like this coming. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes people need to know they are not alone in what they are going through. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that your worth is not determined by how others treat you. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and build something better. Take care of yourselves out there. You deserve peace. You deserve respect, and you deserve to be chosen. Never forget that.